You're listening to Following On talkSPORT 2 and via the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel. I'm Jon Norman, and alongside Steve Harmison and Anton Devcich, looking back at what we expected to happen on day 4. New Zealand ending things relatively quickly after England had batted through the first hour and a half. Joe Root, the first wicket to fall on the day. LBW on review. Mitchell Santner with the breakthrough. Root went for 54. And England found themselves 122 for 3, and they were bowled out within 112 runs of that. Along the way, Jacob Bethel eased his way towards the top of the run scoring charts across both sides. He finished in 3rd place and top scored here in second innings for England with 76 before he slapped Tim Southee's first ball of a new spell to Glenn Phillips at deep backward point to walk from the field, and essentially from there on in, the destination of this test match arrived relatively quickly. Pope went for 17, Atkinson with 43, some really nice sixes hit down the ground. Potts lasted 2 deliveries, and when Castle's last man out with Ben Stokes not batting after picking up that hamstring injury yesterday, that was that. New Zealand therefore win by 423 runs. That's their joint highest win in terms of runs in the history of their test cricket. England's defeat, well, that's their second heavy defeat. In fact, 2 of their heaviest ever defeats by runs have come in the year 2024. Let's start with the winning team, shall we? Anton Devcich alongside me. We've just had a very memorable, quite emotional moment just in front of us at the commentary box. Tim Southee afforded the privilege of leading his team off the field for the last time. He picked up a couple of wickets, one last night, one today. Boy, would he have loved that catch to have stuck Joe Root. That would have really been something for him, even in the latter stages, the twilight of his career. But he can walk off with another test win. I don't think anyone's experienced what it's like to win test matches more than he. He inched one nearer Sir Richard Hadley's record, and he walked off with his shoulders back and head held high.
Yeah, I think that'll be the thing that he looks back on as most proud is, you know, he's just a country kid from Whangarei who had a dream when he was a young kid to play for the Black Caps, and for him, you know, being so far up north to get recognised by Northern Districts cricket first and foremost, and then make his way through the grades. And then as soon as he did that, he quickly got snapped up by the Black Caps and played such a long, beautiful career as far as I'm concerned in terms of, I guess, hard work and passion for his country. And, you know, he'll walk off today, although he might have a few sad thoughts. He's going to look back and be extremely proud of what he's done in the Black Caps side, and you know, hopefully moving forward, we can utilise the skills as England have with Jimmy Anderson. I mean, you know, you don't want to lose guys to the game for too long, especially when they've got the knowledge and experience that he has got. So, no, he'll be immensely proud, and I bet there's a little bit of relief as well, especially getting a couple of wickets today. He would have loved the Joe Root wicket. That would have just capped it off, but I'm sure he'll be fine either way.
Well, he ended with more than respectable figures in second innings of 8 overs, 1 maiden, 2 for 34. The post-match ceremony currently taking place. I'm sure you can hear the wind buffeting the microphone that we've got here. Player of the series is Harry Brook, despite a first baller in first innings and only scoring a run today. Just shows how many runs must he have scored. Only Kane Williamson scored more runs than he, and really it was those innings at Christchurch and Wellington that effectively won the series for England. And you know, when you look back at a test series like the one we've just brought to listeners on talkSPORT 2 back in the UK, or the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel, Harmy, you know, those memorable moments, and we'll hopefully see and commentate on a lot of cricket to come over the next few years. But that innings at Wellington will stand up there, along with any innings I've seen in recent times, and probably over the next few years.
Absolutely, and I think that the 1, 2, 3 out of 280 was magnificent. He was batting on a different wicket to everybody else. He just backed up what was a brilliant innings in Christchurch as well, when yes, he was dropped 5 times, but still, you know, I mean, you can only give somebody a chance. You can't sort of make them take it. So I think that from a New Zealand point of view will be where they'll be disappointed in this series and look back. But from an England's point of view, Brook going to number 1 in the world ahead of Joe Root, who himself in this series had a wonderful 100 in Wellington to set up the game and finish the game off. So I think it's been a really good series between what I expected, two sides who were very evenly matched, small margins and all that when it comes to these two sides, but the drop catches will be the one that really will hurt Tom Latham when he looks back at this series and thinks, whoa, what could have been. I think from England's point of view, we came here with a lot of unknowns, and I think we've gone home very, very happy with them unknowns. Pope filled in and kept wicket. Bethel, I think, has excelled at number 3, and I think Carson Atkinson, because we needed to see what Atkinson was like away from home, and we've seen that over the course of this last sort of 6 test matches in Pakistan before and then in New Zealand. So I think all in all it's been a pretty good 12 months for Ben Stokes' side in red ball cricket. Played some good cricket in India, but not smart cricket. Got beat 4-1. Could easily have been 2-2 gone into Dharamshala. We played some in the summer. We played some good cricket, and then we let ourselves down in the last test match of the summer. But I think all in all, to win 5 and just lose the 1, I think ticking them in the positive box. We got some new players into the group. We played very, very well at the start of Pakistan, and then let it slip on turn and tracks, and that's been I think a story of England's side over the course of the last 12 months, that when they play on something which turns big, this game plan doesn't work, and they've come here, and whether you look at New Zealand has dropped 8 catches, England have still left with the Crow-Thorpe Trophy, and I think that was the main aim of Brendan and Ben when they came home.
Yeah, the inaugural winners of the Crow-Thorpe Trophy, but also the first time England have won here since 2008. Ben Stokes is currently fielding questions from local broadcasters. The England team have got their arms draped around each other, and it's Jacob Bethel with the trophy in the middle of those. He's caused a little bit of a selection headache, a good one. We know how that all goes, but you know, such is the uneven balance to Test cricket. You can see why the frustration for New Zealand will be that much sweeter or bitter, because of course, whilst England look ahead to 2025 and to challenges anew, 5 tests against India at home, 5 tests away against Australia, 2 of the biggest series in world sport, let alone cricket, and let's not forget the first home Zimbabwe test in 20 years. New Zealand are once again going back to a position where most of these players will not play alongside each other for the majority of 2025. There'll be IPL for a couple, there'll be SA20 for a couple, there'll be some white ball tours, and they name their new white ball captain tomorrow, and then there'll be 2 tests in June. Whether that be a full strength side, we'll see, and then 2, maybe 3 tests at the end of next year. There's not a lot of cricket played here at the end of next year, and that will be where the frustration lies, because they don't get these opportunities often, do they, New Zealand, and they kind of let it slip.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I just had a thought come to my head when you rattled off the 5 test match series, the back-to-back series that England are going to face. I actually don't think New Zealand cricket are in a position where they can play that much volume of cricket just now, because although the depth is good, as you know, it's very hard on the body to play 5 test matches, and you need a lot of good bowlers and batters underneath what you've got, and I'm not sure New Zealand cricket has the quality just yet. It is getting better, but they most definitely want to play more test cricket, especially throughout our summer. Not sure how the future programs actually looks in regards to that, but I think moving on from this test series in particular, they've got a few questions that they need to answer, and I'm sure throughout the back end of the Plunket Shield they'll all get enough cricket through that competition here in New Zealand.
The England team just posing with the Crow-Thorpe Trophy, and Ben Stokes surrounded by his teammates and also members of Graham Thorpe's family, and it's a nice touch really at the end of a series, which is just with that trophy, and it just seemed Joe Root chatting with Graham's wife. Yeah, it's just a nice touch from the England team at the end of a series which, as you said in commentary, has been played in really good spirits. There's been no let-up in intensity in the main, I think, today. At times yesterday, whilst the series didn't quite peter out, there was only ever going to be one winner towards the back end of this match, and of course New Zealand had already lost the series. So we wait to hear from the likes of Ben Stokes. I think Brendan McCullum has just spoken. Sir Richard Hadley's about to speak to the host broadcaster, and possibly we'll hear from the New Zealand camp. We kind of ran through the team, didn't we, Harmy? And in the main, you know, all the players that boarded the plane at Heathrow the best part of 3.5 weeks ago are going to land back at Heathrow, and they're going to feel that they played a part in a series win. There are a couple who will feel that they didn't perform. Zach Crawley, of course, has really struggled at the top of the order. One of the players that did perform, perhaps better than many of us expected, Shoaib Bashir. Didn't expect him to play. They were surprised when he played at Christchurch. He played in all 3 test matches and was always going to from that point onwards. But he played a big part in that win at Christchurch, 4 wickets on day 1. And he took a couple here as well. You know, with an eye to the future, Australia next year. And, of course, he's going to be coming up against India again, where he made his debut at the start of the year. He's certainly one who will sleep soundly in the business class section of whatever flight he'll be taken back to England. He did a job.
Yeah, he did a job. I think he did a good job for the team. I thought he bowled some of the hard overs. I think from a team point of view, from the selector's point of view, and from the captain's point of view, I think his education in cricket is what England were looking for when they selected him, going into what is a tough 2025, but exciting one. And I think his education, has gone up leaps and bounds. I really do. He's learned how to bowl into the wind. He's learned how to bowl into ends when the seamers are going to really struggle at. He's learned how to bowl when the ball's not turning and batters are in, and you have to you hold the games in a holding pattern from your team, if there ever is one, from this Stokes McCullum team. And also, when he got a chance to spin it, he spun it. So I think he is being invested heavily into the future, and rightly so. I think he has got a big future. You've also got Jack Leach to back up, who's just he's an excellent tourist, great backup second spinner, and if something did happen to Shoaib Bashir, loss of confidence, loss of form, potential injury, then you've got somebody who is as a good team person backing that up. So I think from that point of view, and Rian Ahmed, I think another one who has come onto the field as a sub-fielder in each time and showed enthusiasm to really sort of to tell everybody around the world that he does belong in this environment, and that's where the spin bowling department is at the moment. I think he can be happy with the way he goes. Now, the Zach Crawley one, over the course of the last 12, look at him over the course of the last 12 months and don't look after him in the last sort of 3 test matches. He's had a struggle since he's been here. Just 1 run in the first test match, where he got 17 and 8 in the second, and then he got 21 and 5 in the third. But Zach hasn't had a bad 2021. He was top scorer in India at the start of the year. He had a few scores in the summer. He does go peaks and troughs in a way which when he goes big, and I think that's why there's so much invested in Zach as the opening batter who's going to set the tone. So I don't see him moving. I don't think he's under pressure at all. I think England can go home with 12 months behind them in Test match cricket to go. There's a lot of plus points in some of the unknowns going into what is going to be an exciting 2025.
It is. It's going to be incredibly exciting, and of course we're going to be bringing you a lot of it on talkSPORT 2 and the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel. It begins with the White Ball Tour of India, which we will be broadcasting live and exclusively. 5 T20s and 3 ODIs. The first White Ball Tour under Brendan McCullum. Sir Richard Hadley still talking. Have you picked up what message he's given to the New Zealand team? Anton's
pretty sure it's all about Tim at the moment, but I think he's the man who's. I think there's a couple of little awards for Tim.
Oh, that's a nice way, because of course it's only Sir Richard Hadley above Tim Southee in terms of the wickets taken in the history of Test cricket. Most wickets in New Zealand, of course. Sir Richard at the top of it, 431, and Tim Southee finishing up with 391. 2 of them in his final innings as a Test cricketer. So here we are at Seddon Park. We've still got some fans sticking around up on the banks on the far side of this ground, and in the seating area under the shade of the tree there's a nice cool breeze, which I'm sure Steve Harmison will hope to be hitting some golf balls into, if not later today, but certainly early tomorrow. The England team are going to hang around for another day or two before making their way back to England. And I suppose for all the positivity that's around this side at the moment, there will of course be question marks over the fitness of Stokes.
Yeah, that's the only disappointing element to what has been a very, very positive tour, a better positive, few months for England. To see Ben Stokes back bowling, and eventually in Pakistan, to see Ben Stokes bowling in this game, it's a little bit bittersweet, because you know how much he's important to this group when he's bowling and bowling fit, and the overs he's bowled so far in this series. He bowled 13 overs in the first innings of the first Test match when his team really needed him, and then he bowled 24 overs in the first innings of this Test match when his team really needed him and his other bowlers were tired. And I just think not bowling as much in the last 3 or 4 years because of different injuries is a message to Ben Stokes that I think you're going to have to pick and choose your battles now when it comes to the bowling element to it. Pick and choose when you bowl, pick and choose the environments you can bowl in and how you can push your body to the limit, because this is the second hamstring in the space of 6 months, and the age he's at, he's not going to thank me for that, for the little age sort of dig, but it is, he's getting older, and unfortunately the body slows down, and the all action, all conquering superhero Stokes, I think he has to pick and choose his battles when he does that hard yard bowling. But I'm not going to criticise him for bowling dead overs, because his team needed him to do it at the time, and he looked physically in a very, very good condition before this tour. I just think this is a good gauge and a good guide going forward into 2025 to how far you can push your body, because the biggest thing that can't happen, it's fine walking off in the middle of a Test match in New Zealand. England can ill afford them walking off in a Test series in India, against India, or in Australia, and lose. You're not losing the bowler, you're losing the all-round captain and package of Ben Stokes, and that's something England can't afford.
Yeah, we're just waiting for Stokes to talk to Scott Taylor, who's been waiting very patiently. Stokes has just broken off from the England team as they make their way from the field, and that is it for the ceremony as well, the post-match ceremony. Yes, Scott Taylor's just about to start speaking to him now, as both England and New Zealand players walk off. Another round of applause for Tim Southee. I mean, he found bowling and hitting sixes came very natural to him. I'm not sure about the speech-making side of things. Anton?
No, he's not one for words, Tim, but I can assure you in the change room there will be a lot of banter getting thrown about from him in particular. So once again, just congratulations.
Yeah, I'm sure both sides will be congregating together, as is customary. At most international wickets for New Zealand in all formats. Tim Southee at the top of the list, 776. He is going to continue playing white ball cricket, isn't he? He hasn't retired entirely. I think he's going to hang around.
Yeah, I think franchise will be his next port of call. I think he'll look to do that for another couple of years. He still feels like he's got enough in the legs to get through 10 overs or 4 overs.
Well,
a day.
I mean, I wonder who will ever go past him, because there's nobody anywhere near him. Daniel Vettori second in the list with 696. Trent Boult, his former opening bowling partner, 611. Sir Richard Hadley, 589. Chris Cairns, 419. So if anyone goes past Tim Southee, they're going to do it when we've probably retired.
Not enough cricket, I don't think, for someone like Will O'Rourke, but he is the one that stands out. That there's something special. I don't think Will O'Rourke's going to be a flash in the pan. I think this boy is here to stay in the international scene, and how he gets into white ball cricket, I'm sure there is a pathway for him where his next part of his development comes. One thing I will say, if I'm a New Zealand fan, I'm excited by that big fella, because I think he has got something that New Zealand probably haven't had since Anton, Shane Bond.
very similar bowler. When you look at their shape and how he runs to the crease, I remember when I first came into the first class scene, Shane Bond was in his peak, and the way he shaped the ball at the speed he bowled, it made it a pretty difficult task. And you're correct. I think he is the closest thing to Shane Bond that we've seen for a long time. We've had guys like Adam Milne and Lockie Ferguson, obviously, but the longevity for them was the thing that they found hard. Their bodies didn't hold up, and that'll be the test for Will O'Rourke, is how he manages that, how he gets through his work and his preparation, and how he stays on the park for long periods of time.
The other tall fast bowler who really impressed us all was Bryden Carse. I think a lot of us have seen over the course of this Test series, and also in Pakistan, just why you've been raving about him for so long, and just why England want him to be fit, ready, and with experience ahead of next year's Ashes series, and of course India visiting in the summer.
Yeah, that middle period of the ball's not reversing, so we need somebody to bowl when it's flat, and I think we just found that. I think we have just found that, and that hopefully will take away some of the effort that Ben Stokes, normally the burden that he normally shoulders upon himself. I think now Carse is inked into this group. I really do. I think his qualities when it's flat, and he's not a first-class bowler, he's a Test bowler, and what I mean by that is, and no disrespect to the Sam Cooks, the Jamie Porters, all the sort of early 80-mile-an-hours that get 50, 60 wickets a season in first-class cricket, and everybody talks about why they're not playing inning Test match cricket. Because when the wickets get flat, you need something different: height, pace, aggression, putting bowlers on the back foot. We've seen in this Test series the likes of Atkinson, the likes of Carse, the likes of Henry, the likes of O'Rourke especially. When the ball has done little, very little, and it's got a bit flatter, Tom Latham and Ben Stokes have had options to really take the game to the opposition, and that's been Carse for England, O'Rourke for New Zealand. So I think when it comes to the big series is on flat pitches, when things aren't going, so when things are heavily in favour of the bat, then Carse comes into his own.
And Gus Atkinson, again, he just quietly goes about his business, doesn't he?
He does.
Whether he's taking wickets or he's scoring runs.
Yet to see him smile.
Nope.
I'm yet to see him
Oh no,
smile.
we did. Hat-trick.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah.
No, we forgot the hat-trick.
Good point. Very
How
well
can we
made.
forget the hat-trick?
Well, we forgot the hat-trick because of the innings of Harry Brook on a wicket, which was obviously it was doing a bit. The hat-trick was the ignition, I thought, for Atkinson in this part of the winter series, because I don't think he was at his best, but it was for me it's a good learning education. When things aren't going well, how does the young player, the new player, work on getting out of a time when things aren't going, staying relevant in the Test match, and then trying to strike again as a fast bowler. So look, I think he's learned a hell of a lot about himself and about himself as a cricketer as well on this trip. He batted nicely. Again, I think it's just another tick in the box and a feather in the cap. Atkinson bowled well throughout English summer, went to Pakistan on flat ones, came here, and I think he's continued on what is going to be another very, very good international career.
There was some mention in an article written overnight that Kane Williamson might be starting to think about when his time is. It was quite touching to see how Kane Williamson, I think he handed Tim Southee the stump, or one of the stumps that was taken out of the ground. There was a little embrace between the two. And Tom Latham as well. We shouldn't forget, Tom Latham's played all 87 of his, well, not all of them, but he's played a lot of his 87 tests, or however many it is, alongside Tim Southee. Those two go back a long way as well. And it was quite touching to see those two, or three. There's talk about Joe Root breaking Sachin Tendulkar's record, and the feeling is, as long as he's fit, he will continue for another 3 or 4 years. What about Kane? Not breaking Sachin's record, but
no, and well, I'm not sure about Kane. He would never let anyone know. The type of person Kane is, I'd be very surprised if there was a big song and dance about when he retires. Obviously, New Zealand cricket and the whole New Zealand public would want a big song and dance, but I sort of get the feeling with Kane, he sort of just wants to ride off into the sunset by himself a little bit, having so much media scrutiny over the years. So I think he's still got a little bit left in the tank. I don't think it'll be sort of years and years and years, but I think for now, while he's playing good cricket and it works well with his family, which has become a really important part of Kane Williamson over the last sort of 3 or 4 years since he started having children, I think while it all works out for him, I think he'll continue to play.
It's a paucity of Test cricket in 2025, and actually 2026 is an exciting year for New Zealand because they come to England for a 3-test series and then they go to Australia for a 4-test series. I mean, it couldn't have gone. It was like the old England tours of Australia in the 90s when New Zealand were last in Australia. They were given 3 test matches. They got the Boxing Day test, Sydney, and I mean, it was like back in the day when the England team would arrive in Australia with their 2 best bowlers injured and the 3rd one hobbling around, and then within one warm-up game that bowler was heading back, and then the captain was injured, and then suddenly by the end of the tour you're playing. There's some crazy team selections out there. You're not quite dragging someone from grade cricket to come and play for you, but
I played on one of them tours.
Yeah, you did. Played in. Well, you were there in 2001, weren't you?
2002 was one of them.
2002 and 2006, 7.
I mean, we needed 2 team buses. We needed a team bus with a red, siren on it. That red and blue siren went one way, and we had a team bus that went actually to the ground. I mean, we took ridiculous players, but you're right. I think that's always the challenge of keeping New Zealand's best players in a position to play a Test match cricket in the meaningful Test matches. That 2026 year is going to be. Is that realistically Kane's last year?
Well, it would make sense if you want to go out with a bang. He has scored a century against England in England. I don't know if he scored a century against Australia in Australia, and actually I'm not sure his Test record, for all of Darren Lehmann talking about Joe Root's record in Australia, I don't think Kane Williamson's record against Australia is anywhere near what it is against the likes of England and India. So that will be something that he'll want to tick off for sure. I mean, a series win over there, that never happens.
Wow.
Before I get your answer to that, though, Anton, let's hear from Ben Stokes, who's been speaking with Scott Taylor.
So Ben, thanks for joining us. Firstly, got to ask about yourself. How are you holding up?
On the injury,
Yeah.
I got a scan tomorrow morning, so won't know too much more till then.
Perfect. And how important was it to not let a disappointing end to what's been an overall a good tour for you, a series win?
I think regardless of the result this week, what we've came here and achieved was never going to be an easy task. New Zealand are a very, very strong team wherever they are in the world, but in particular in their home conditions. Coming playing the next series after a pretty historical series out in India for New Zealand, beating them 3-0, we knew they were going to be full of confidence. So to be leaving here, series winners and winning 2-1, playing some amazing cricket in the first 2 games. Obviously disappointed to end the way that we did, but we came here to win the series, and we've done that.
And a word on Jacob Buffell's come into this Test side for this series and giving you guys some headaches, I guess, for down the road. Yeah,
he's some player. We knew that by obviously selecting him in the squad and then giving him the opportunity when we're sort of forced to. He's been amazing. Throughout all 3 tests, he's put in some very eye-catching innings for such a young man. Just doesn't look flustered by the occasion whatsoever. So I think everyone can see why we gave him the opportunity, and he's a phenomenal talent.
Just a couple of words on a couple of your bowlers. Bryden Cass, 18 wickets for the series, and Gus, who's had a phenomenal 2024 really since coming in.
Absolutely awesome. The way in which the guys have came into the team, with the little experience we'll call it, and have impacted the game so quickly at the start of the career has been awesome to watch. There's a reason why they were selected in the first place, because of the skills and the attributes that they have, and we felt that with those attributes that they'd really be able to impact games, and we've seen that from Gus over a long period of time now. What a 2024 he's had. Amazing stats, and Bryden's took the world by storm so far. He's a great cricketer to have. especially with the ball and his batting ability down the order. So yeah, look, bowler's been amazing this whole tour.
And Zach's had a bit of misfortune, and not the series he would have had, but he's got a good record against India and Australia, and those 2 series to come. How did he get back to that form he showed sort of at the start of this year, really, and then in the Ashes last time out?
Oh yeah, look, it's just, you know, form, whatever it is, it's just, you know, a few lack of runs out here. But look, this will be one to sweep on the carpet and then move forward to obviously India. You know, we've got a long time off before we even play next Test match. But look, Ben Duckett and Zach Crawley have been absolutely phenomenal at the top of the order for England over a long period of time now. The way in which they complement each other, you know, with the obvious height and size difference, it's very hard for team opposition to settle in and bowl where they want to. It's not been the tour that Zach wanted, but look, he's a phenomenal talent. He's at the top of the order to, you know, really stamp the authority that he has, and stamp the authority of the way that we're going to go about our cricket. You know, not everyone always has a tour that they want. There's a few of the guys who would have liked to have got more out of this tour as well. But look, Ben Duckett and Zach Crawley have been absolutely phenomenal for us at the top of the order for a long period of time now.
And just a couple more. You spoke so well in the past about your relationship with Graham Thorpe. So how special was it that you were able to lift that trophy there? Yeah,
it was, you know, obviously coming here with that trophy sort of, you know, being announced for the first time, 2 huge names, you know, for New Zealand cricket and English cricket, and then obviously even just having the family in the photo there with us at the end was a special moment, I'm sure, for them and for us. Yeah, look, there's been a lot said about Graham Thorpe over the last year or so. You know, he was such a huge part of English cricket. So yeah, it was very nice to be able to lift that trophy with his name on it, and also you know, receive the trophy off Amanda as well.
And just your plans for 2025, and I know we don't know the extent of your injury yet, but has the fact that now Brendan's taking all 3 formats, does that change your plan? Will you have a conversation with Brendan about what that looks like for yourself?
I've got to see what this is first.
Perfect. Thanks for joining us.
No worries. Cheers, guys.
Scott Taylor speaking with Ben Stokes. Final wrap then from here in our commentary box at Seddon Park. First, you, Anton, your memories of this Test match, and I imagine it'll involve Tim Southee looking back, but with William O'Rourke. Does allow us to look forward as well from a New Zealand pace bowling perspective.
Yeah, I think that's, you hit the nail on the head there. You saw Tim Southee obviously come into the end of his cricketing career for New Zealand, and you see a bright spark in Will O'Rourke, and it is a really bright spark. The way he bowled out there over the past 4 days has been something special. And yeah, for me, just seeing the Hamilton crowd get behind the Black Caps in this one, especially because it being Tim Southee's last Test, it'll be something that I remember for a long time. And also getting to join the commentary team for the week, it's been another big highlight.
Well said, and enjoy the horse. Is it horse racing tomorrow? I didn't quite.
It's a stud.
What does that mean?
Well, that's where they breed race horses, basically.
So you're just going to go and look at some horses?
Well, it's right next to Brendan's house, so I think they put on a bit of a...
So when you told your missus you're going to go and watch some horses, it was actually...
Well, she knows. She knows.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure she does. Anton, thank you for your time. Harmy, one memory from the tour. One memory from the tour that's going to keep your thoughts for the 27, 36, 42 hours back to Ashington.
I think the memory, the sort of on-field memory, has to be at Wellington. We're watching Harry Brook and marvel just how good he is, and the difference he was to everybody else. And on that day in a Test match arena, to play the way he did and bat the way he did, I think it was. There's been loads of great memories of this tour. The tour's been fantastic. People of New Zealand have really looked after us. The weather's been brilliant, apart from obviously just one day yesterday. But I think if there's one standout moment on a tour where I think you could have quite a few standout moments, seeing Bethel and Bashir, Bethel and Kars play the infancies of their careers out in front of you while in a commentary box, but to sit and commentate on 123 off 115 balls in that first innings, that second Test in Wellington, I think that will take some beating.
Well said as ever, Harmy. So that's a wrap from us here at Seddon Park. A big thanks to all the listeners who tuned in throughout the night, the silent shout-outs, the inane chat on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel's chat facility. I hope you've enjoyed the ride. It's been thoroughly entertaining. We're very fortunate to be able to do this job. England winning comfortably in tests 1 and 2. New Zealand coming back to just make sure that Tim Southee can walk off into the sunset with another test victory under the belt. It's been fantastic. I always approach this part of any broadcast with trepidation that I'm going to forget a name, but a big thanks to you, Steve Harmison, ever present and always will be, as long as I've got any say in the matter in terms of talkSPORT cricket. Neil Manthorp as well, he's sitting beside me writing a column, no doubt. Go and check him out on his Substack. Anton, thank you for joining us for this third test match. Katie Martin, wow, that was a conversation that took an unexpected turn late in the morning session. Frankie Mackay, who was with us for Christchurch. Grant, the hairy Jav, serious man crush from Scott Taylor. Thank you for your insight and that bottle of red at the Basin Reserve. Chris Harris back in at Christchurch, who drove us all home after a night out at the Spates Ale House. And Garth Galloway, who's been a big part. We crossed paths throughout the first 2 test matches, but it was great to hear him commentate for the first time in this, the third. And Daniel McCarty, to get him back in the commentary box, is a pleasure as ever. Jeremy Coney, wow, what a superstar he is. Thanks for your time. And back home, where covering this series hasn't been quite as pleasant. What would we be, or where would we be without Gary Morgan? Throughout the night, as well as the production team, Alex, Tom, George, Jack, ever present, and of course Gubbo. Guy, Nick and Sam reporting on talkSPORT. But as we reach our conclusion here on talkSPORT 2, a special word of thanks, of course, to Mark Killer Kelly, Kate Corona Hanscom, and of course Scott Corndog Taylor for all their work. Thanks for joining us here on talkSPORT 2. It's been a blast.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.